Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. That is food to meditate on. It's something that I really had to meditate on as I took on the call to ministry. That was the first warning my Nana gave me when I told her I felt like I was called to teach. She didn't give me great verses like Jeremiah 29:11 or anything else. She said, I want you to memorize James 3 and 1. And you see, here in James, James deals with a very tough passage that every last one of us, and I'm going to challenge you to be honest with yourself, every last one of us struggles with. That is taming your tongue. That is watching what you're saying. You see, we did before, and I told you that you must be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, right? But now James is really about to unpack that. We was able to brush through it before. But now James says, I think you all missed this before, so now let me deal with this again. But he calls you brothers. You see, so we can't miss the genuine love that he has for the church. He calls us brothers, but he says, not many of you should become teachers. Notice that James starts with the head. But this doesn't mean the congregation or you who are not necessarily ministers should just zone the rest of this chapter out. For he just starts with the head and says, hey, leaders should set the examples, but this also goes for the rest of you as well, I believe. Because you know that you who teach will be held with stricter judgment. But every last one of us must also understand that we are all going to be held to a judgment. Yes, baby. That we're all going to be held to a stricter judgment. And then he says in verse 2, for we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man. Now, I would like to ask you, now I wish I could see your hands, but which one of you is perfect? Which one of you is able to control your tongue? Which one of you is able to not say what he ought not to say? This past week when I came in to speak with Brother Kyle, I confessed something that I said that I probably shouldn't have. And it's been bugging me all week. My wife often has to tell me about how I just put my foot in my mouth, and I do this constantly. My wife would like to think I was a perfect man, but to be honest, I'm not. I'm far from it. And as a leader, it is crucial that I learn how to control my tongue, but sadly, this is something I struggle with, and you, if you're honest, will too as well. But James gives the command. I understand something that when James has been talking so far, these aren't just suggestions. I think I forgot to mention this before, but everything we've covered so far is not just mere suggestions. These are apostolic commands, okay? He isn't just saying this for his help. These are apostolic authoritative commands. He is telling you this is what you should do, beloved. And then he reminds us that if we are able to control our tongue, then we are perfect. We're able to bridle his whole body. But it's ironic that the smallest part of our body causes the most trouble. You see, one thing I used to pride myself in is how quick I could think on my feet and talk myself out of a situation. You see, my mom used to say I had an excuse for everything. If I did something wrong, I was quick to come up with the excuse and the reason. I used to go into the principal's office and he asked me why I did something. I always had an excuse. And if they said something else on top of that, I was quick to come up with the excuse on top of that. And I was always building up excuses and excuses on top of that. And then when my parents would ask me something, I would build up excuses on top of that. And my sibling said something to me I didn't like, how quick I was to bite back at them with something that I probably shouldn't have said. And I wasn't a Christian. Let's just get that out there. You see, beloved, how easy it is for us to just say something that now we wish we can go back and take back. But James also reminds us that we can't go back and take what's been said. You see, here he reminds us that we can put bits into a horse's mouth. We can control huge ships with small rudders, but yet it's ironic that we cannot control the smallest part of our body. It's like a raging wildfire. It just goes completely out of control. So how is it then that you and I must deal with this? What is it that we must do to control such a thing? What is the danger of this small body parts? He says it here in verse in verse 6, that the tongue is set among our members to stains the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell. This is strong language. This is strong language. The tongue is what gets you in trouble, 9 times out of 10. You see, it's not your hands, it's not your arms. It makes me kind of wonder why Jesus didn't mention this when he says if your eyes causes you to sin, or your arm. When this reality is your tongue that's really the one that causes you the most trouble. So here he says every kind of beast and bird and reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no human can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, thank you. And it is a restless evil full of deadly poison. But see an irony here, okay? He is very ironic with what he's about to say now. The tongue is such an ironic thing because he says that with it we bless the God that we praise and serve. Again, he is talking to believers, right? And so as believers, he's assuming that we are praying to God, and that we are lifting up thanks to God, and that we are blessing God, and that we are coming together and worshiping God. Yet, in the very same breath, we curse our neighbor the very next day. In the very same breath, we go out and we speak ill against others. In the same breath, we go out and we speak bad against our employees, or we speak bad against our co-workers. How ironic is this that our tongue is causing so much issues within our lives? Where's our hope? In the same mouth comes blessings and cursing. My brothers, he says, these things are not to be so. Does a spring pour forth the same opening both fresh and salt water? In other words, how is it that you can have both good and bad come out the same opening? How is it that you can have both positive and negative coming out the same end? It shouldn't be this way. Beloved, this is an urgent appeal for us to control our tongues. Now, this doesn't mean that it's not possible. I believe this is a call to fights. This is one of the strongest urges in the scripture, I believe, for spiritual warfare. This is one of the strongest appeals for you and I to fight daily a sinful battle that you and I will have, and that is to tame the tongue. That is to control the tongue. Just like when you put the bridle in a horse's mouth to control where the head goes, you and I must control our tongue. Now, understand, we are not going to be perfect. He also says that if you are able to fully control the tongue, you will be a perfect man. We understand no one is perfect. But he doesn't say to give up either. He doesn't say that since you can't achieve this, then we are to not give up. Because I believe that if we aren't to fight, then he wouldn't say that these things ought not to be so. I believe that phrase that these things ought not to be so is his appeal for us to fight on, to carry on, and to strive daily to control what comes out of our mouth. So this sounds like a despair because if no human can tame the tongue, then the one who created mankind can tame the tongue. You see, so sanctification, God is going to continue working in you. And so if you truly trust the work that God is going to work in you, then we know that God is able to help you through this battle. And when you don't know how to, James 1 and 5, he reminds us, if you lack wisdom on how to deal with this, let him ask God, and he gives generously to all without reproach. See, beloved, this is a call for us. This is a call for you and I to control the tongue, to tame our tongues, to watch what we say. And what's the first step to doing this, I believe? The first step, I believe, is to be... Hold on, baby girl. The first step to doing this, I believe, beloved, is to be quick to hear and slow to speak. Just as he mentioned in chapter 1. It's to not be quick to say something, but rather think before you open your mouth. It's to be quick to listen before you want to say something. It's to meditate on the scriptures, because I believe it is true that what goes in is also what's going to be what comes out. You see, the Bible gives us clear instructions on how we can tame our tongue and how we can control it. So here, beloved, we must fight daily to control what we say. We us fight daily to control what we do. It's not going to be an easy fight. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that this is something that you can do in 5 easy steps, and within 5 days you will have this knocked out, and you will control your tongue every single day, and it's going to go perfect. But what I will say is this, is that you are called to fight, but you are not going to fight this alone. God is going to be with you every step of the way. He has promised that He has begun a work in you. As He's begun that work in you, He is going to bring it to completion in the day of Christ. And if you want help controlling your tongue, have kids, because they will really help you to learn how to bite your tongue. Okay? But now He says, who is wise and understanding among you? By his good conduct, let him show by his works in the meekness of wisdom. Wisdom is important and is crucial for your daily life. It is important for you to be wise on how you deal with others. It is important for you to have wisdom on how you live your day-by-day life. It is important for you to have wisdom on how you treat others. It's important for you to have wisdom on how you raise your kids, how you speak to your spouse, how you do all things. So I want to leave you with this, beloved, is that you don't be fake to yourself, but that you be genuine. Hold on, baby girl. Is that you be genuine. Don't be ironic. You see, it's easy to be ironic and to be quick to bless God on Sunday and curse man on Monday. That you praise God on Wednesday and go and speak blasphemy on Thursday. Don't be ironic, but that you also take time to study the scripture. Psalm says it clearly that thy word have I hid in my heart that I may not sin against thee. Dive into the word of God. Stay devoted to the word of God. Keep studying the scripture. Meditate on it day and night, so it may be a light to thy feet. So that way, when you are tempted to go and say something that you know you probably shouldn't say, ask for wisdom. And see if God does not give you the wise thing to say instead. And sometimes that may just be not say anything at all. My beloved, it is my prayer that as you continue your study, as you continue studying through this book, that you will see these commands, that you will continue to fight your sin daily, that you will continue to strive for holiness and true religion that is pure and undefiled before God, that you will fight to tame your tongue, that you will have genuine faith that works and is evident in your life, that you don't show favorites, that when trials come knocking on your door, that you won't be surprised, but you ask God who gives dreams into our room without reproach, knowing that God is working something in you, and God does not leave you by yourself, because God is ultimately